What's good, everyone, and welcome back to another reaction video. Today we're reacting to Game Theory, The Lost Episode, Slender Man. Now this is a name I haven't heard in a very long time. Since Slender Man... Yeah. Yeah, this is a name I haven't heard from a really long time. I was gonna make like this big deal example till I realized, no, that sounds dumb. I should just flat out say that it's been a long time. The last time I heard of Slender was Slender the Arrival, and that was like 2016, 2017? I don't remember. Yeah, and I really have no idea. Now, this is something I don't really know about. The lost episode of Slender? That makes no sense. It's like this something we missed from Slender the Arrival. An update that happened that we don't know about? I don't know. And that's why we're gonna go look into this and see what is going on here. So, yeah. I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you did, hit the like button down below. Hit the subscribe button to support the channel, support the content provided, and so on and so forth. Hit the notification button, be notified immediately when we... Ugh. Wow, that jumbled up words. Oh, that is not what I wanted to happen, but... yeah. So, anyway, hit the notification button, be notified immediately when a new video comes out. And if you have any videos you would like to recommend, any at all, put it down in the comment section below, and I'll react to them as soon as possible. And finally, the link to the video that I'm reacting to will be down in the description below, so be sure to give Game Theory some love and support for the video they made. So, with all this said, let's start this video, shall we?
Back in October of 2014, one fateful decision changed the course of this channel and my life forever.
And what was that?
Time for some scary theories. Which of these guys would you rather see a Halloween theory on? Slender Man or this new game Five Nights at Freddy's? And the rest is history. Five Nights at Freddy's became synonymous with the channel, and 10 years later, we still have yet to touch Slender. But what if things had turned out differently? What universe lies behind the other choice? What episode got lost to time? The freak accident that killed Afton's son. I'm back to finally put the original FNAF tetralogy to rest.
Well, there's not really a lot to go on about coming.
Hello, Internet.
And this is probably going to be cut from the... And that music, you know what, just... The music's just probably going to get cut if it's copyrighted, so... If you don't hear the music, you know why. But that's interesting. So this is like... Did he like have a script for this and just refound it, or... like found it again after so long, or did he have like something else planned for this? I don't know. It's kind of curious, actually.
Welcome to Game Theory, the smartest show in gaming. And welcome to our very spooktacular Halloween episode. Earlier this month, I put out a tweet asking you what franchise you wanted.
Oh wow,
to
this
cover.
was made.
The results were
It's the audio.
so close. But in the end, Slender Man won out by a single vote. Good thing too, because I had no idea what I was going to say about that weird spooky bear game. Now, it's been about 2 years since our Slim Shady Man first hit the scene, and in that time, we've been distracted with plenty of Harlem shaking and Flappy Birding. So in case you've forgotten, let me catch you up. up. Slender Man is basically the grandpappy of horror here on the interwebs. Even though the game released in 2012, the character actually dates all the way back to June of 2009, when Eric Knudsen, under the screen name Victor
Yeah, the
posted
creepypasta.
82 pics of a deadly figure photobombing some
Right?
kids as part of a spooky picture
That
contest.
too.
In the caption, Eric called the figure the Slender Man, and the internet was hooked. The character bounced around creepypasta forums and spawned internet videos, but really, the turning point came when the fan game Slender the 8 Pages was released. To say that this game was a viral success would be an understatement.
You can run for more than... Whoa.
Slenderman, come rescue us. We're trapped.
I don't know where it was. Get out of the way, tree.
Literally overnight, the whole Let's Play culture of
True.
screaming way too loudly at mildly scary things was born. I mean, that last guy, Markapillar, he only had about 2,000 subscribers when Slender came out. Now he's nearing 4 million. Keep up the good work there, Mark. I could see you going places one day. But what could I, Matt Pat, a gamer without a Let's Play channel, do about this sort of franchise? Well, while everyone else was busy screaming their heads off at footage of slow walking through repetitive low-poly trees, no one stopped to ask the real question here. The hard-hitting question that everyone
What
sure
question?
needs an answer to. Is Slender Man actually a slender man? Sure, he's tall and thin, but does Slender Man's weight to height ratio, his body mass index, actually classify him as slender? Or is he just lying to us? Is that a dumb question? Yeah. Does it fit with all
Yep.
the other stupid stuff that we talk about on this show?
Kind of,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Is this yet another excuse for me to avoid doing part 2 of our Watch_Dog series? You betcha. So prepare to whip out your rulers, your pixel rulers that is, as we weigh our
I actually kind of
options and
forgot
answer
about
the
that
most
game.
massive question in the Slenderverse that
Oh my
no one
gosh,
but
I can't
you would
believe I
ever
did
wanna
that.
solve. Just how slender is Slender Man? So in order to figure out Slender
No
Man's
offense, but that
figure,
sounded
we should probably
cringy.
get ourselves a baseline of what makes something slender in the first place, which means that it's time to turn to my dear friend Webster. Merriam-Webster, that is. Pulling up the dictionary and looking at the definition of slender, though, doesn't give us a lot to work with. Quote, spare in frame or flesh, limited or inadequate in amount or scope. I mean, makes sense, but it's not really giving us a clear bar of what we would and wouldn't classify as slender. The closest one of those is probably this, quote again, narrow in circumference or width in proportion to height. Better, but also pretty obvious. For our theory today,
True.
we need something that's a bit more clear-cut, something more specific. We need a place where they ruthlessly tear body types apart by the fractions of an inch. We need fashion. Which means I did the unthinkable. I stepped into the world of the beauty gurus.
Okay.
That's right, Weboverse. I pulled my best Bethany moment.
I actually don't know if this is
runway walks and get ready with me tutorials
like this
to
was a
determine the
pre-made
definitive
thing
definition
made
of slender.
way back then
Glamorazzi, eat your heart out. And let me tell you
with
what I found
more
was
modern
shocking,
edits or
shockingly incomplete, that is. Honestly, the world of style was just largely void of scientific rigor and quality testing. Oh sure, some definitions I saw equated a slender body shape to being rectangular.
something
and
he
other
made
sources
back
I
then
found
but
talked
didn't
about
really
how the arms
finish
and legs are
because
typically longer, which yeah, both of those
FNAF
do fit for
won by
Slender Man, but again,
landslide.
it wasn't giving me the mathematical precision that I was looking for. Someone should probably fix that one of these days. Anyway, with the wordsmiths and fashionistas letting me down, there was one last place to go. One resource I could turn to. One brother from another mother that was never gonna give me up and never gonna let me down. I turned to science. When it comes to the tools that we have to measure slenderness, nothing is quite as ubiquitous as body mass index, or BMI. BMI is a formula that we use to estimate someone's body fat percentage given their height and weight. But Matt Pat, I hear you bold, beautiful commenters saying, body mass index can't distinguish between weight from muscle mass and weight from body fat. And well, yeah, you're certainly right. Just hold on to your pewter pants there, friendos. Just for our subject for today.
Okay.
I think either one of those are going to be a problem. There is nothing on those bones, which means it's time to guesstimate his height. A quick Google search for how tall is Slender Man reveals that there's no consistent answer, but since most of us heard about Slender Man from the game, and this is game theory after all, it's not a bad place to start looking. In Slender the 8 Pages, there are several objects that we could theoretically use as a potential measuring stick for Slender Man, and most of them suck. Between the cars, the buildings, and the trees, none of them have a definitive standardized size. Most of the things in the game are just too generic and could therefore be just about any size. But there is
And the
one
fact that
object
it's
that I
all
think we could translate
non-solid
one into the
ground.
real world, and that is this right here, the brick wall. You now have my permission to ooh and ah. Thanks for that. You now have my permission
Huh.
to subscribe because this is YouTube in 2014 and subscribership is and will always be a very relevant topical metric for getting my videos seen by you, and not a system slowly eroded away by evolving algorithms and short form content. Now, turn away from that subscribe button.
Okay.
Back to me. Now turn to
So
the
an
brick
old
wall.
script
Now
that
back
he
to me.
remodeled
Brick wall.
for a modern
Subscribe
thing.
button, me, wall, great. Tucked away in the corner
Got
of
it.
the Slender map, this generic forgettable wall may actually be the key to figuring
And now
out
I
Slender
understand
Man's true
everything.
height, because while brick walls can just be about any size, the bricks they're made of are not. They're standardized, or at least they're standardized by country. In the US, the origins of the Slender myth, a standard brick is 2.25 inches tall, and the mortar joints between them are usually around 3/8 of an inch thick. After analyzing the wall, I found it to be 41.5 bricks tall, with 41 mortar joints in between. When put all together, that means that the wall is 108.75 inches tall, or just a shade over 9 feet. So that's the wall, but then what about Slendy? Well, here's where I was in for a surprise.
He's
See,
8
when
feet?
I lured Slenderman over to the wall to see how he stacked up, let's just say that he came up a bit short. Physically short. Slenderman wasn't towering over the wall, he was barely half its height. I counted the bricks and ran the calculations, only to find that Slenderman topped out at the crushingly average height of 5 foot 9 inches, thereby making him 1 inch shorter than me. It would seem like the stories of the towering, ominous Slenderman have been a bit overhyped. In reality, Slenderman is just a short king. That said, I did want to double check my work. After all, when he gets close to us in the game, we have to look up to match his, can you call it an eye line if he has no eyes? Something just wasn't adding up here, so to confirm my results, I went back to Slenderman, the origins, all the way back to those original creepypasta photos. This pic shows our pal Slenderman enjoying a nice day out at the playground. But not just any playground. This picture was supposedly taken in Sterling City, California, which tells us that this is America. Judging by the rest of the kids that we see in the picture, the girl in the background must be about 5 to 6 years old. In the US, the average 5 to 6 year old girl is somewhere between 109 and 121.5 centimeters tall, or about 3 feet 6 inches to 4 feet. Whipping out our trusty pixel ruler, Slenderman is exactly twice as tall as that little girl, meaning that his height should be canonically somewhere between 7 and 8 feet tall. Significantly higher than that brick calculation gave us, and far more in line with the way that he tends to be portrayed across media. And since this 8-foot number comes to us from the very first piece of Slender media ever released, I'm gonna say that Slenderman is rocking the higher numbers here. Clearly, he's taller than your average human, but obviously nowhere close to the 10-foot tall Wario. So, with the height of Slenderman now settled between 7 and 8
what?
feet, next comes his weight. Unfortunately, there wasn't a lot of great sources out there to weigh up.
Wario
Can't
is
figure
10
out someone's
feet
weight
tall?
just from a photo after all, so we're gonna have to expand
That's
deeper
weird.
into the Slenderverse to get ourselves our answer. Back in the early
No, seriously, that's weird. Why would he be 10 feet?
Started a found footage series here on YouTube called Marble Hornets. Many of the powers and abilities that we now associate with Slenderman, like teleportation and causing hallucinations, were brought into the Slender canon by this video project. However, the thing that this series didn't bother to make canon was his weight. The creators are famously tight-lipped about what they did to build their Slenderman stand-in. There isn't even a listed actor on IMDb that we could use as a starting point. I even analyzed all of Slenderman's appearances in the series frame by frame to see if 1, I would enjoy it, which I very much did, and 2, to see if I could find some hidden detail that would reveal his weight. But alas, another brick wall. And as we just learned during the height discussion, brick walls are not useful during this theory. Go figure. It's almost like these indie games don't bother to think about what theorists like me might need. Who knows, maybe one day game designers will actually bother to care about their own lore. That said, I wasn't done. In my research, I stumbled across this: a mathematical formula helping doctors estimate the weight of a patient given only their height, for all those times that you can't get him on a scale. And considering that we only have Slenderman's height, and weighing him sure does seem impossible, this might just be the key that unlocks this mystery. Their formula is weight in kilograms equals n
maybe.
1 times 100, where n is the height of the patient in meters. Plugging in the height of Slenderman, we get
Okay.
that Slenderman weighs 143 kilograms, or a whopping 317 pounds. Tall, dark, and
Damn.
handsome? More like tall, dark, and dense. So, there you have it. That's our solution, is what I'd be saying if there wasn't a teeny tiny issue with this answer. Well, I'm sure this formula is a great tool for hospitals and emergency situations. The authors of the
True.
paper admit that this formula tends to overestimate the weight of patients the taller they get. Considering Slenderman is taller than anyone in the study by quite a large margin, this is going to cast some serious doubt on the accuracy of our number. I did
Definitely.
consider using the weight of the world's tallest man in recorded history, Robert Wadlow, to try and counteract this. Wadlow, born in 1918, was the tallest man who ever lived, standing at
Damn.
8 feet 11 inches, or 2.7 meters,
Holy
and weighing in
shit.
at 439 pounds, or 199 kilos. This guy was so tall that he makes our estimates for Slender Man seem puny. But using a nice little ratio, we can use Wadlow to scale Slender Man. Since Wadlow is 8'11", 439 pounds, and Slender Man is 8 feet with an unknown weight, we can set up this nice little proportion here. Solving for X, we get Slender Man's weight, which ends up being 392 pounds, or about 177 kilograms.
Okay, there's your
That
answer.
doesn't really account for our full picture. Slender Man's limbs are strangely lanky, and while it may not make a huge difference, it would ultimately make some difference in our calculation. The problem
True.
is, I don't have any other options. I'm out of ideas, out of sources, and out of formulas. I guess I just have to throw in the towel, raise my white flag, and say, Slender Man, you've bested me. There is no way that I can calculate your weight. In 2014, but then again, this is 2023. In 2023, Matt
Oh, that was the end of said part. Okay, I get it now. He's showing us this whole thing involving all the... Okay, so he had 2 videos prepared at that time when it was the decision between Five Nights at Freddy's or... Okay, that's actually pretty cool. And for this one, he actually never had a solution. Okay, so he didn't have a solution in 2014, but now, because it's 2023, that can actually change.
Pat can do a lot that MatPat in 2014 couldn't. In recent years, the team and I have learned how to rip the 3D models directly out of games, which means that we can now use a 3D modeling program like Blender to figure out certain measurements, specifically Slenderman's volume. This may not initially seem like the answer that we're looking for,
Okay.
but volume is only a few steps removed from that all-important weight that we're getting stuck on. You see, mass is just volume multiplied by density, and fun fact, regardless of their height
Yeah.
or weight, people tend to have similar densities, around 985 kilograms per cubic meter. So by turning Slender Man into Blender Man, and then scaling him to that 8-foot estimate that we got from earlier, I found that Slenderman's volume is
Okay.
6 cubic meters. Now we just plug in those numbers into our equation from earlier to get a weight of 175 kilograms, or 386 pounds. Now I can
So
say,
now-
boom, we nailed it.
Okay.
We finally have as
That's
close
cool.
as we can possibly get to Slender Man's official weight, which means it's time to plug these values into a basic body mass index calculator, which is gonna tell us that Slender Man's BMI is, drumroll please, 29.4, which honestly probably doesn't mean anything to you. But if you take that number and apply it to a BMI chart, it tells us that Slender Man is actually overweight. You heard that right, friends. I double and triple checked my math here, and it turns out that Slender Man is overweight by about 61 pounds. In fact, at his current weight and height, he's only about 5 pounds away from being classified as outright obese. In short, Slender Man has been lying to us the whole time. 14 years after the Slenderman myth was born, we've not only proven his height and weight, we have fully debunked his name. Slender Man is in fact not a slender man at all. To truly gain that title at his current
He's
height, he'd need to lose
just
about
a man.
pounds. Honestly, it's a conclusion that
I don't know.
make Matt proud. Heck, it's a conclusion that makes me proud today. But wait, who then would qualify as video gaming's new Slender Man? With the title role now vacant, who are we going to wander around the woods for
Okay.
games to
Why
scream
would you
at? Well,
want to
the answer
figure
is
that?
downright shocking. Link. In Tears of the Kingdom, you can actually lift and
Huh?
fuse objects together, and people have been going wild with these things, building combat planes, cannons, someone even built
Okay.
a pod racer. But the best invention of all was done by Reddit user recommendation OK6842, who made a working set of scales. I know, theorists really do be the most wild. What's even wilder, though, is when you put Link on those scales, he weighs exactly the same as 10 apples, which is an improvement from Breath of the Wild, where in-game scales only weigh about 8.5 apples. Clearly, unlike
I'm
Slender
sorry?
Man, Link is trying to chase after them gains. Your typical apple weighs around 6 ounces, so 10 apples is gonna mean that Link weighs about 3 3/4 pounds. Well, Link doesn't have himself a canonical height. YouTuber The Bread Pirate figured out that his in-game height is about 5'2", which makes Link's BMI the absolutely minuscule 0.7. That BMI right there is 1/36th that of our Slender Man. Even if these apples were the heaviest apples ever to be recorded, which according to the record books weighed in at about 4 pounds, then his BMI would still be at 7.3, falling well short of the 18.5 that you need to fall into the normal weight range. So there you have it, friendos.
Okay.
Series' own What If episode about Slender Man. Slender Man isn't actually slender, and Link is the true successor to the crown. That said, I think it's safe to say that you made the right choice going with FNAF. Ain't no way I'd gotten this many theories out of the Slender franchise. For as difficult as it may be to believe, I think for once we may actually exist in the better of the two timelines. But hey, speaking of all our favorite
True.
friends, I need to tell you all about our latest line of FNAF merch, which is available right now today. No,
Yeah, probably for the whole FNAF movie. Gonna skip a bunch of stuff. And
so make sure that you're grabbing it while you can. And as always, my friends, remember,
Yeah.
no matter what year it is, it's always just a theory. A game theory. Thanks for watching.
so this is the whole thing going on. I'm gonna be honest with you. It's honestly, I don't even know what to say about this one. Because it shows that, at least in my opinion, that he would do a Slender episode, like 1, maybe 3, and then probably just go to the FNAF one. So, yeah. I'm gonna have to admit that this probably isn't really much of a big thing to overstay about, because, come on. Well, Slender was a great horror game at the time. We gotta admit that in the end, there was not a lot of clues to actually keep it going. At most, you can probably just speculate a few couple things. I mean, you can look at the pages, look at different sources, but until we get to Slender the Arrival, there wouldn't be anything really to, you know, cause us to... You know what? I'm just gonna say it. Because if I'm gonna be around the bush, I'm just gonna make this more awkward talking. Basically, Slender wouldn't have last in theory-wise. At most, 1 or 2 theories. Because there is lack of to no lore. We would only get the pages, we won't try to figure out the location, we would only get few minimal things, and it wouldn't be as grand or spectacular to find or anything like that until Slender the Arrival comes in and we try to figure out the whole backstory. But here's the thing, the backstory is there, and MatPat would just be telling us the whole thing from beginning to end on what really happened and all that. Basically, he would just put the story together for us and explain it from beginning to end. So we don't really have much of a thing to look through. Because, yeah, that is literally what's happening here. And there's nothing else to really comment about on this, so yeah. I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you did, hit the like button down below. Hit the subscribe button to support the channel, support the content provided, and so on and so forth. Hit the notification button, be notified immediately when a video comes out. Other than that, tell me what you think about this theory. Would you think that it would have more than like 2, 3 theories? Or do you think it actually would have succeeded and went on and on throughout everything? Because in my personal opinion, it's not going to be a big thing to go on about. Or anything of the such. So yeah, that's really my opinion on the matter. But yeah. But besides this, be sure to give Game Theories love and support for the video they made, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!